What's going on, Las Vegas? How's everyone doing today? Awesome. Hey, let's make some more noise. Come on. We're in the city. First of all, I want to say I love Las Vegas. So I'm joining all of you here today from Jacksonville, Florida. Shout out to Duval. And I love Las Vegas because there's so much about the culture here that aligns with some of the topics I'm going to discuss with you here today, which is marketing, specifically social media marketing and email marketing. And you know, we're in a city here in Las Vegas that's known for its casinos, right? Gambling culture is a big part of what happens here in Las Vegas. And I often say that bad marketing without a strategy is like gambling your business away. Meaning, if you're not strategic in how you promote your business, in how you build community, and how you get that community to promote you, then you're just wasting away precious dollars, precious resources, and that's a gamble. And in business, we can't afford to take gambles. We can take risks, but we can't take gambles. By a very quick show of hands, how many of you in this room own a small business? Okay, keep those hands up. Solopreneurs, business coaches? Okay, these lights are making it kind of hard for me to see you guys, so I want to see those hands go up really high. Down. Quick question for you. How many of you in this room use social media in your business? All right, you use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to pull out your phone right now. We're going to do an interactive exercise here. I want you to pull out your phone. I want you to go to Instagram and Twitter. And I want you to follow me at Carlos Gil 83. If you learned something here today that's exciting, if you learn, and look, trust me, they're only giving me about 45 minutes to talk to you guys. I could be up here 2 or 3 hours, so I'm gonna try to go through this rather quickly, but I'm gonna give you guys a lot of value. But what I want you to do is if you learn something, I want you to tag me, Carlos Gil 83. I want us to stay in touch. I'll follow you back and share out with the outside world that's not here, because knowledge in this day and age is what this is all about. It's why I'm passionate about public speaking. It's why I'm passionate about getting on an airplane and leaving my family and traveling 6 hours across the country, because I want to ensure that the business owners, the coaches, the solopreneurs, the marketers in this room walk away with more knowledge than you came in here with it. Cool? So you see some of the logos here on the screen of the companies I've had the honor of working for. My background primarily is in enterprise social media marketing. I've had the honor of working for brands like LinkedIn, BMC Software, Winn-Dixie. I've also owned a couple of businesses of my own. And in this season that I'm in currently, I work for GetResponse. GetResponse is one of the oldest email marketing service providers in the entire industry. I'm gonna tell you about what we do here in just a moment. But I was brought on about 6 months ago to be our brand evangelist and to really put a human face and a voice on the brand. GetResponse being based in Poland. I'm here in Florida in the United States. So I've been brought on to do exactly what I'm doing here today, which is to speak to audiences like this, to not only teach you how to use email marketing and how to use our marketing automation tools and GetResponse, but also to serve as someone that you can contact, someone that you can connect with on LinkedIn, you can follow on social media. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to keep this dialogue going. So let's get into why we're here today. There's 2 topics that are very near and dear to me that I'm gonna speak to all of you about. One of them is email marketing. Specifically, how to integrate email into existing systems such as social media, how to use AI to optimize your email marketing campaigns, how to be more effective with turning these emails into dollars for your business. And then we're also going to talk a good amount about social media marketing, specifically where social media is headed, specifically how you can leverage these platforms to get more followers and turn those followers not just into customers, but also into email subscribers. But what I first want you to do is I want you to hit the reset button on everything that you've been taught to this point about online marketing. And I say this because I've worked in this industry now of digital marketing since 2008. It's a long time. And the game of internet marketing continues to evolve and change. Right? About 10 years ago, I would stand on stages like this and I would teach business owners and marketers about Snapchat. And then Snapchat evolved to TikTok. And then TikTok evolved into using AI. These mediums are constantly changing. The audiences on these mediums, they're constantly changing too. So when I say hit the reset button on what you've learned about selling online, it's because what you've been doing up until this point isn't going to be what you continue to do. You have to continue to evolve with these platforms. It's very important. And the reason for that is because these social networks themselves are not they don't operate all one and the same. These social networks have a life of their own. The audiences that live on these platforms, it's different. The way you use TikTok is completely different from how you use LinkedIn, how you use Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it's all different. You're speaking to different audiences. So the first thing that I really want you to focus on and write down is purpose. What is your purpose for being on any of these mediums, okay? So you see these platforms on the screen. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, it's a lot to manage. I think we can all agree, right? I know from being in the trenches as a small business owner myself, when you're running a business, it's damn near impossible to run a business and also do marketing really well. Which is why when I say write down what your purpose is for using these platforms, it's to challenge you to really think about what value do these platforms drive to my business? And more importantly, instead of trying to use all of these platforms and use them poorly, pick the one or two platforms that are gonna give you the most reach in order for you to ensure that you're speaking to the right audience, you're engaging the right audience. One thing that's really important for you to keep in mind is this. Today, people don't want to be sold to, they want to be engaged. And what I mean by this statement is people don't like being sold to. In fact, let me ask you by a very quick show of hands, and please be honest with me, how many of you woke up this morning and the first thing that you did was you grabbed your cell phone and you went on social media and you saw what your favorite brand of all time posted? Look around, one person in this room, two people in this room. So I'm gonna pick on both of you. What brands was it?
It's outdoors.
An outdoors brand, okay. Miss? What was it? Instagram? So let's check this out. Most of us are in this room that we use these mediums. The purpose of using these mediums is to do what? It's to do what? Connect, what else? Network, what else? Sell, right? Find a targeted audience. However, two people in this room out of a couple hundred just raised their hand. None of us like being sold to. I think we can all agree that when you go on social media and you see what appears to be an ad, what do? You keep scrolling. When you see a post that has a lot of engagement, you take a moment and you analyze that post. This is like the TikTokification of content marketing, okay? To go one step further, for those of y'all that know internet dating culture, it's the Tinderization of content marketing. If your content is optimized to sell, meaning it looks and reads like an ad, guess what, as consumers, we're all trained to do? We're gonna keep swiping, we're gonna ignore it. If that piece of content looks and feels like it's a DIY, a growth hack, something that we can get some value out of it, we're gonna take a moment, we're gonna stop and pay attention. And who do we normally see posting this style of content? I think I heard from the young lady here, YouTubers, you've got TikTokers, you've got everyday people. When was the last time that you went on social media and you saw your favorite brand posting content like your favorite Instagrammer or TikToker or influencer? They don't, right? Because brands, corporations are under such intense scrutiny and pressure to drive ROI and drive all these KPIs that they're ignoring that the key word in social media is social. Say it louder. I love these guys. I can tell this is a fun audience. I'm gonna enjoy speaking to you guys. You're making my job a lot easier. So at the end of the day, it's this. People today are brands. Every single person in this room is a brand. Every single person in this room has reach. If you have a cell phone, an internet connection, and a TikTok account, you're a brand. You have reach. So when you think about, when you sit there, you're like, you know, I've got this thing that I'm selling. I've got this service that I'm selling. I've got this brand I'm trying to grow. Well, shoot, how do I do that in a noisy digital sea of content, a noisy digital ocean, which is social networks? It's very simple. You put the camera on yourself and you speak. You wanna know how I learned how to become a public speaker many years ago? Through Snapchat. Believe it or not, I am an only child and I'm very introverted and very shy. It's not natural for me to do this. But I learned through Snapchat how to speak 10 seconds at a time. I learned confidence by speaking into a phone because there wasn't an audience in front of me. The audience is digital. But what you have to realize is that behind every one of these accounts is a real human being that you're able to impact and you're able to touch, right? It's all of you in this room. So I say this because it's a very important slide that I have here on the screen. The growth hack, the key, the strategy today to not gambling away bad marketing or doing bad marketing in general, I should say, is by putting a human face and voice in front of your brand. It's not behind the brand, it's in front of the brand, okay? People buy from people, people trust people, and people tend to do business with who they like and relate. So keep that in mind as you're sitting here thinking, well, I've got this product, this thing, this brand, I want to grow. Evangelize it, live by it. How many of you are using Facebook, Meta in your business, Instagram? I know every person here has to be using Instagram. Come on, don't lie to me now. So you want to know what I really dislike about the state of social media today? You know, we're in Las Vegas, so I'm going to just kind of shoot it straight with y'all. These social networks operate like casinos, okay? Don't let the folks outside this room hear me too loud because they might kick me out of Las Vegas. But there's something to be said about the house always wins. These social networks are in control of your success on social media. I don't want to say online because these social networks don't control how many people go to your website. These social networks don't control your email campaigns. These social networks effectively control the output of what you get when you post on Instagram or on TikTok or on Facebook. So let me break this down for you if you really want to understand how these social networks operate, because I think once you understand this framework, then it's going to help you create your content differently than how you probably create it now. If your content is optimized to sell, meaning you have call to actions in your content, such as click here, buy now, do this, limited time offer, 40% off. I know all of you guys at some point have either used a hook, a call to action in your content, or you've seen content that has a call to action. The algorithm is essentially killing your reach altogether. The algorithm, which is an AI in the back end, is scrolling through all these posts, and anything that reads like a sales post is immediately being canceled out by the social networks. Why? Because these social networks, again, are casinos. They are in business to make money off of selling ads. That's how they stay in business. So they stay in business because they have all this data, right? Now they've collected a decade, years worth of user data, where we shop, what we do. There's cookies on all these different websites. So you go to, for example, ESPN, and there might be a cookie that then travels all over the web what you do. So then when you go on Facebook, you see an ad. Have you ever been to, for example, like Amazon, and you go look at a product and you don't buy it, and then the next time you go on Facebook, you see that product like in your face, it's screaming at you, and then eventually you're like, shoot, I've seen this ad like 10 times, let me just swipe my credit card, right? That's the game. That's the business of Facebook. That's the business of all these social networks. To you and I, these are social networks, but in reality, these are advertising platforms. So you need to understand Facebook is not in business to make you money. Let that sink in. These social networks are not in business for you to make money. They're in business for them to make money. And the way they make money is all the content that we're posting, it's keeping people engaged on the platforms. Those little bit of spikes that you get are like digital dopamine rushes to keep you producing more content. And by you producing more content, essentially it's allowing these social networks to sell more ads. And by selling more ads, they're making more money. So it's just a never-ending cycle. So I say this because once you understand how the game works, cool. I'm not telling you don't use Facebook. I'm not telling you don't use Instagram. Like, let's be honest, we need these mediums today. We need them. It's very hard to do business without these platforms. However, if you're sitting there thinking, my organic reach sucks, it's very low, I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need to do. First of all, understand the house rules. Just like if you go downstairs and you play at the tables, They'll let you win a couple times. But you know what? The longer you play, the house is always going to win. So you have to understand that you have to spend money to make money. One of my good friends in this industry, his name is Dennis Yu. He has a course with us with Get Response and teaches Facebook ad strategies where you spend $1 a day. Even $1 gives a little bit of money to the social networks. It's like going to the penny slot machines downstairs. You put in $1, you get 100 plays, right, at a penny, but you're in the game. If you're not spending any money, you're not in the game. You're relying on these platforms to allow you to reach a limited number of people. When you spend a little bit of money on ads, now you're able to take that ad budget and you're able to target a specific segment within these mediums, okay? So that's one. Two is optimizing your content for engagement, not optimizing your content to sell. And the easiest way to optimize your content for engagement is this. First of all, write this down. Ask more questions. Make your content conversational. Ask open-ended, lead in with asking open-ended questions in your content. So when someone sees that post, they're gonna be reeled in and they're gonna feel compelled to comment back. The more comments you get, that's engagement. When you comment back to that comment, that's engagement. When you like that comment, that's engagement. This is a game. Again, it's understanding the house rules and playing by the house rules. In case no marketing guru or expert has ever told you this, you're not gonna outsmart the algorithms. You're not gonna outsmart Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. These are billionaires that are in business to make money off of data. You have to take the control back and you have to play by the rules. Now, how you do that? It's very simple. Post often. So if you know that these mediums are selling ads, cool. Give them what they want, which is content. But optimizing your content, that your content is optimized not to sell, but to engage, and you do that again. Post more questions in your content. Remove call to actions. Start embedding content on your blog, on your website. These are other touch points where someone can learn about your brand online and still engage with you on social without ever having to open up their phone and go to an app. Create visually appealing content. It goes without saying. There is a Tinderization, a TikTokification of content today, okay? People react to what looks good. So post content looks good. And you don't have to spend a lot of money in creating content. Most iPhones today, you can put your settings to record in 4K. Use your iPhone, record more content, and just post that content frequently. And then locations is critical, right? Make sure that you're tagging in every single one of your posts where you're at to ensure that if you're trying to grow your business in Las Vegas or in your community or the city that you operate, then whenever someone is looking for a search for that city, then your brand is indexed within the search results of that city. How many of you have seen the movie Castaway before? This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I like to make this comparison often that we're all posting content in a digital ocean, a digital abyss where content it goes to disappear. It sails off and we don't see it. How many times have you posted on social media and you get like no comments, no likes, no engagement? It's okay. It happens to me. So I'll raise my hand. It happens to all of us. We are all the digital version of Tom Hanks in the movie Castaway. All of us. You remember Wilson? We're gonna get to Wilson in a moment. We're gonna talk about the Wilson effect. I had this up here for a reason, visibility versus engagement, because if I go around and ask business owners, marketers at brands, what are you really chasing online? Sure, they're gonna tell me the same thing, more sales, more leads. Cool, that's why we're all in business. So let's remove the sale out of the whole equation. In fact, when you're going around networking at these booths, don't lead in with what you're selling. Lead in with who you are. Connect with people, create relatability. Because look, we all get it. We're all here for a reason. We're all here to sell something. Otherwise, we wouldn't really be here. So remove the sale from the equation online just like you remove it in person. And get down to the basics. It's about engagement, okay? Visibility is great, but if people aren't paying attention to your content, then there is no visibility. But if one or two people are taking the time out of their schedule to look at your post, to respond to your email, to form conversation with you at a conference like this, those are the metrics that really matter. More so than a faceless, voiceless impression that really means nothing. Because the reality is this. Right now, we're all talking to ourselves online, all of us. This is the Wilson effect. In Castaway, Tom Hanks spends the majority of the movie, poor guy, talking to a volleyball. A volleyball. When you post on social media and that post goes out into a noisy digital ocean and no one engages back, guess what? You're talking to Wilson. You're essentially talking to yourself. How you change that? It's very simple. You start optimizing your content to engage. You start having more frequent dialogue, okay? And over time, as you're giving value to those in your feed, they're gonna say, look, every time I see this account, there's something that's in it for me. How many of you remember Blockbuster Video? Okay? I grew up in the 90s. I used to love Blockbuster. For those of you that are very young, before there was Netflix, there was Blockbuster. It's where us kids in the 90s, we would go, we'd rent a movie, a video game, popcorn, and Pepsi on a Friday night. It was like the best weekend ever. Blockbuster, though, wasn't able to keep up with digital evolution. And we all know what happened to Blockbuster. It no longer exists, just like a lot of iconic brands from the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s don't exist. And this brings me to the point of TikTok. So many marketers and business owners are putting a lot of investment into TikTok right now because TikTok has found a way to give us all a little bit of organic reach that has disappeared on Instagram. But what's happening is we're putting so much investment into creating content on TikTok that we're losing sight of the fact that the US government has already voted to ban TikTok altogether in this country. So what happens if when the new administration potentially comes in and says, you know what, we're done. There's no more TikTok. What happens if you've now invested the last 3-4 years of time into creating on this platform because you didn't back up your data, because you didn't have an omni-channel strategy, you weren't using email marketing? You know what happens? It's the same fate as Blockbuster. You go away. You have to start over. So there's a very important term that I need you to write down and have it ingrained, and that's omni-channel presence. You need to have a presence on multiple channels. But the key, my friends, is not just having a presence on these channels, it's having these channels speak to each other. It's really having a strategy that starts with doing a complete audit. So let's say, for example, your business is on Facebook, it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, it's on Twitter, and it's on YouTube, it's on LinkedIn. You need to really do an assessment of what value are all these platforms bringing to you. My recommendation to you is eliminate all the ones that you're seeing lackluster results that are occupying a lot of your time. So if you're not seeing ROI, cancel them. Spend time on the 1 or 2 platforms that are. Start with that. The good news is that we all have access to the same tools. You know, I had this conversation a lot with marketers and with small business owners because I always ask them, tell me about a brand that you like. And you know what? Most people don't like brands because we've been conditioned to ignore brands. We've been conditioned to live in this internet culture that we gravitate to everyday people that still give us value, that we relate to. So every time I get in this conversation, people say, you know what, I don't like brands, but I like this person, I follow this person. The beauty of that comparison is we all have access to the same tools, just like we all have access to the same 24 hours in the day and the same 7 days a week. We all have access to the same tools. We all have access to posting, we all have access to set up email, we all have the same access. And this is what brings me to email marketing. How many of you are using email in your business? Okay, we're gonna change that. We're gonna change that today, cool? Email is the one channel that I have to humbly admit that throughout the majority of my career, because I've been drinking from the social media fire hose, like I'm sure many of us are, I've ignored email. And I wish I hadn't ignored email for as long as I have. Going to work right now for an email marketing platform and get response has really changed my outlook on email because I recognized really for the first time in my career that The name of the game isn't to rack up social media followers. You see, that's all rented land. Those are all vanity metrics. That blue check that I fought so many years to get doesn't really mean anything. It's cool to me. The optics are cool to those on the outside, but doesn't really make me any more successful because I'm verified on a platform. It doesn't make you or I any more successful that we've racked up all these random followers. But if you're not doing business with these followers, then what good do they really do for your brand? Email, however, creates a direct one-on-one dialogue with your customers. Email is that one channel where you can cut through all the noise and you're not at the mercy of the social networks to dictate your success. Before I give you guys and girls the game on email marketing, I'm gonna teach you all a growth hack. Are you ready? If you guys aren't ready, I'll keep going. You're ready for a growth hack? Because this is, all right, cool. This is going to really be a game changer, because what you're gonna do when you leave this room is you're actually gonna implement this growth hack in real time. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to pull out your cell phones. And I want you to scan this QR code on the screen. So this QR code is gonna take you to Get Response. By scanning this QR code, you're able to sign up for Get Response. There's no gimmicks, no hooks. You only need to put in a credit card. Very simple. You put in your first, last name, and email address, and you're able to get a 30-day free trial of Get Response. Again, there's no commitment. Now, I know after those 30 days, you're gonna be so hooked and you're gonna be impressed by all the tools that Get Response offers. They're gonna be like, all right, I'm in, I'm canceling my MailChimp, I'm canceling my active campaign, like I'm moving everything over to Get Response. But here's the growth hack. Scan the QR code, sign up for Get Response. Right outside of this room on the left, there's tables full of business cards, full of them. You know what those business cards contain? Emails, data. Thank you. We have a really smart audience in this room. Those business cards all contain data in the form of emails. You know how Facebook makes its money? Reselling data. The growth hack, the playing by the house rules, is playing the same game that the social networks play. It's capturing data and using that data to your advantage. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sign up for a Get Response account. All of these business cards that you see out there, you're gonna take photos of every single one of those business cards. You're gonna go to ChatGPT when you leave here today, or you can even do it here. In fact, you can come to the Get Response booth and I'll show you guys how to do this. You're gonna upload all of these photos that you take into ChatGPT, and you're gonna ask ChatGPT to make you an Excel spreadsheet that has the first, last name, company, job title, and email address for every one of these individuals. You know what you have now? You have your own list, your own CRM to upload into Get Response. I bet you don't have marketers that are coming on stages and telling you growth hacks like this. You wanna know how I know this works? Because I've done this pre-ChatGPT for years. You go to conferences, you exchange business cards. The reality is that all these business cards are just paper. At the end of the day, it's gonna go in my pocket, I'm gonna get to my hotel room, it's gonna go onto a desk or nightstand. When I check out the next morning, all those business cards are gonna get swept into a backpack. I'm never gonna touch them again. However, following this methodology that I'm instructing you to do, now, when this conference is over, you have a list that you can email through Get Response to every person that was here, and you can say, hey, Mr. Whomever, it was so nice meeting you, or we didn't get a chance to connect at the Small Business Expo. I would love to stay in touch. Don't sell in this email. Introduce yourself. Thank them for their time, okay? Also, take the time to go to every one of these booths. What you're gonna end up doing is this. You're gonna use Get Response tools to create a welcome series. So going forward, every single time you go to one of these events, you're conditioned now to follow this process. Again, you get business cards, you take photos of them, you upload them into ChatGPT, you're continuously updating this file, this Excel spreadsheet, and you're uploading this data into Get Response. And then once those email addresses are added, the welcome email that they get is gonna be what you program it to say. And the beauty of all this is that we have built-in AI tools that can make this really easy for you. How's that sound? Cool? Awesome. Now let's get into email success. To be effective in email, it starts with being relevant. The mistake that so many marketers make is they send out these email blasts to a really large audience, and the content in that email isn't relevant to everyone in that group, which is why email segmentation is critical. Segment your audiences out. So I'll give you an example. If you have VIPs that shop with you a lot, have them grouped into a list. If you have customers or you have prospects that haven't opened up the last 10 emails, put them into a segment. Start creating content that's relevant for segments. The reason why you get such low open rates in email is because you're sending out an email to a lot of people and that email isn't relevant to them. Start making your content more relevant to the audience that's intended to be shown to. And what you're gonna see is a spike in open rates, clicks, because now the content in that email is relevant to that audience. The second is personalization. Personalization isn't just putting someone's name in the subject line and the body of an email. It's personalizing the content to them. So many marketers try to go really wide. They cast a wide net, meaning I have all this reach, so I'm gonna do this one thing to reach all these people. And in reality, you have to go much deeper with your audience. I could be much more effective marketing to 10 people and having intimate dialogue, even if it's digitally with 10 people, than realistically I can with 1,000 or 10 or 100,000. Okay? Personalizing your content goes hand in hand with relevancy. Then there's consistency. Ever since I started working at GetResponse, I have a lot of conversations in the DMs with homies of mine that are telling me that they haven't activated their email list in months. So they're seeing a lot of unsubscribes, a lot of spams, a lot of people in their lists have changed email addresses. That happens because you're not consistently activating that audience. Once you have a strategy in place and you know this is my purpose for using email marketing, the name of the game is to have a strategy so you're consistently emailing this segment or this audience. Then there's value. Value is subjective. My recommendation to you is think about creating a newsletter for your business tied to the service or the thing that you do. So if you're in insurance, real estate, automotive, whatever your business model is, think about creating an email newsletter where once a week you're providing an article that can provide value to someone, a tip, a growth hack, a story of inspiration. But don't sell. Again, if you want to start seeing your email open rates and click rates increase, which is the goal for all of us to then see more conversions, you have to start with the basics. Don't sell, instead engage. And then it's actionable. Direct your audience down the path of where you want them to go. I'm a big fan of email drip campaigns because with a drip campaign, this is a sequence where I can tell you what to do next, right? So like, for example, this talk that I'm doing, it's being recorded. I'm probably gonna turn this 45-minute keynote into a drip campaign, 5-minute chunks where you watch 5 minutes of content and then you get the email for the next. And I'm telling you along the way, things that you can do. You can connect with me on social, you can opt in, you can sign up for a free trial, like you can do all these things. But again, it's keeping your audience engaged and directing them to what you wanna do. So let's talk about how to connect social and email. This is what I call the marriage of social and email, because there's this misconception that social media kind of lives over here in the whole digital marketing strategy ecosystem and then emails over here. These platforms have to speak to each other. You have to have consistency in the voice and tone of how you sound on social, how you have an email. You have to give people a certain amount of value in one platform to then get them to go to the other, and vice versa. Growth hacks. I'm all about siphoning data from the social networks. So what I want you to do is start getting in the habit of driving people to the one link in your bio that doesn't take them to your website, but it takes your followers on Instagram or on LinkedIn or on Twitter, wherever you can put that one link in your bio. I want you to start getting in the habit of driving people to your opt-in page for your email newsletter. So for example, within GetResponse, you can build landing pages. You can build lead magnets. Generate a link for that lead magnet or that landing page or that opt-in for your newsletter and put that in your bio and start getting in the habit of being very intentional. For example, in the bio of your Instagram, have arrows or emojis pointing down saying, sign up for my newsletter. Tell people straight up what they're gonna get of value. And you do this over and over again through the strategies I'm about to share with you on how to use social, and you're gonna see over time your email subscribers start to rack up. It's using social media as a funnel. And what I mean by using social media as a funnel, use social media as a discovery platform to talk about and teach about what it is that you do. There's a big difference about teaching people what you do than selling to them. So give me an example, like what's one thing that someone in this room does professionally? One thing, shout it out. Accounting, cool. How many businesses out there need accounting services? All of them, right? How many business owners are in the weeds that don't understand tax regulations? A lot of them. You are the expert. So you are gonna build your entire persona on TikTok and on Instagram speaking to business owners about accounting and making it really simple. Really simple as teaching in 45 to 60-second chunks. Again, think about the TikTokification of content today. People are lazy. They don't have time to read. You have to break things down and make it real easy. If you look at my content, again, if you go to Carlos Gil 83 on Instagram, this isn't self-promo. This is so you can actually see the framework yourself. I teach content in a way that you're always gonna walk away learning 1 or 2 keys within 45 to 60 seconds. You have to get in the mind frame of using these mediums as a funnel to teach people what it is that you do. So then they look at you as the expert and they go off and they hire you for your services. That's much more effective than saying, hey, I'm an accountant, it's tax time, file your taxes with me. No one's buying into that shit. Let's just be honest. But if you're teaching people the systems of how to avoid being penalized, how to save money on taxes, now you're giving people value with a capital V, and that's gonna be the difference between someone swiping or engaging with you. So take a photo of this, write this down. This is step 1 of the framework. Use social media as a funnel to teach and to build a following. Then what you do is through content that follows this framework, so educational, inspirational, or motivational, you're gonna then direct those followers to your email list. And normally this is how it happens, right? So I'm gonna continue to use my guy here as an example. What's your name? Donovan? I'm gonna use Donovan, the accountant, as an expert here. So Donovan is going to use Instagram and TikTok to provide tips and give value with a capital V. And what's gonna happen is because he's now using hashtags that are relevant to his profession, people that need those services or that vibe with his content, they're gonna comment on his content. They're gonna DM him about his content. And Donovan needs to ensure that he has a system in place, system with a capital S, to capture these leads. If you have people commenting on your content and you got no system, you're doing half the work, but the other half you're really missing out. And the half that you need to have a system for is capturing these leads into your GetResponse account, building your CRM, building your email newsletter. So once again, when someone comments to you that they want to learn more, cool, you comment back and you say, check your DM. And then you DM them with a link where they can opt into your newsletter to learn more. And if they want to have further dialogue, then at that point you uncover the lead. But again, it's about using tools. It's old school rules with new school tools. So I'll say that for you again. Old school rules with new school tools. Business has always been predicated based on relationships, based on people doing business with who they like, who they trust, who they relate to. But you need to use these tools that exist today to now take these people that are seeing your content and funnel them into a systematic approach where you have things like a welcome email set up. You have triggers set up so if someone opens up an email but doesn't click, within a week they can get a follow-up email from you. Think about your email newsletter being like the VIP list to your brand. And I just want to call this out there again. These QR codes that you see on the screen, if you scan them, it's going to take you to Get Response and you can sign up for a free trial. I highly recommend that you try all of these tools out. Because when you set up an email newsletter and that becomes the VIP section for your brand, now what you're essentially doing is you're creating all this freemium content on social to then drive people over into your newsletter, where in your newsletter is when you're able to go much deeper with the relationship. You're actually able to charge them for services. You're able to talk about your business. You're able to go much more in depth. Or at a very minimum, you're able to give someone something of value that they otherwise won't get on social. And I'll give you an example of a young man that's done highly well for himself on social. And I want you to think how you can replicate this for your industry or for your business. So there's a gentleman named Alex Lieberman. I had an opportunity to meet him about a month ago at a conference. He started up a newsletter called The Morning Brew. Morning Brew is an email newsletter that goes out every single day. It primarily is intended to engage marketers about what's happening in the world of marketing, right? It's not rocket science. It's a newsletter for marketers. He grew this newsletter from 0 to 4 million subscribers. He flipped a 4 million subscriber newsletter into a $75 million acquisition by Business Insider. That's mind-blowing. And 4 million subscribers might sound like a lot of people, but when you take into account that you have over 5 billion users on the internet today, and let's face it, you need an email address just about to do everything. You need an email address to sign in to Amazon, to go on social media, to do everything, your bank. 4 million people is not a lot. So my challenge to all of you, starting with my guy here, Donovan, is create a newsletter for your industry. Create a newsletter for all things accounting. And you know who's going to opt in? People like me that aren't experts in accounting, that we want to learn about all the stuff that we see on social media, but we want a go-to expert, go-to resource. That's how easy this is. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Trust me, I used to think this was hard until I started looking at the systems in place. It's very simple. Use social media as a funnel to make your business or your thought leadership more discoverable, give people some nuggets of value, and then convert those people over into newsletter subscribers. And now with the newsletter, I have their email address. I can bypass the algorithms and have direct one-on-one contact with them. The other part to this is exclusivity. How many of you like gifts? You like free stuff? One person? Really? So look, I've given you guys some growth hacks here. So here's something I want to give you as a gift. If you scan this QR code on the screen, it's going to take you to an ebook that I wrote. It's called Engage and Convert. Get Response analyzed over 1 billion email addresses in the United States alone. I wrote this ebook to be able to break down what you need to know to sift through all the noise. And the cool thing about this is that there's actually industries such as legal, accounting, that I spotlight in this ebook based on data that we have to help you understand how it is you can sift through the noise when using email marketing. So make sure that you take a picture of this screen. I'll give you about 5 seconds or so. Take a photo, scan the QR code, and download the ebook. It's called Engage and Convert. So look, moving along, how many of you have ever thought about starting a course? 1, 2 people? Let me tell you why you shouldn't sleep on courses. The online education industry is worth billions of dollars and it continues to grow, okay? If you have something of value to teach, create a course. My guy here, Donovan, we're gonna talk because you need to create a course on accounting, okay? See what happens when you sit in the second row and you raise your hand? Newsletter and course. Every single person in this room, I am more than certain, is a subject matter expert in their industry. If you can teach something from beginning to end, start a course. Start monetizing your knowledge. Don't just give away that knowledge for free. So, Get Response recently rolled out a whole suite of content monetization tools, such as paid newsletters, such as course creation tools that have AI built in. Use these tools. So as part of your free trial, actually go through the process of creating a course. It's super simple. Use ChatGPT, to tell ChatGPT, hey, I'm an expert in accounting, help me come up with 6 different modules, and within those modules, 4 different lessons for each module, then create, with an iPhone, talking into your camera, a video about your subject matter expertise for that lesson. Use a platform in Gamma.ai to create slides for you using what ChatGPT is giving you, and then go into GetResponse, upload this content, boom, you have a course. You have a product, you have a SKU that you can sell. It's that simple. Here's how you get started in creating a course and monetizing your knowledge. This is the framework right here. Do an assessment of what are you good at. What are you good at that you can teach beginning to end? And it doesn't need to be professionally related. If you know how to play the drums or the guitar, if you know how to take really good photos, like my man here in the front row, if you are good at accounting, good at Excel, if you have something that you can teach somebody beginning to end, I guarantee you, there's an ass for every seat. There is someone out there that will buy your course. But it starts with doing an assessment. And then when you do an assessment, write down topics for you to create content. And again, use AI. Use ChatGPT to help you with this. What are some different ideas for 60-second videos about this topic? And then you create these videos. So you see some examples here. My whole point that I'm trying to make, friends, is there's so much opportunity that you're able to unlock with the internet today. This isn't hard. This isn't rocket science. And this goes, I know, well beyond running a small business, but we all have talents that we should be finding ways to monetize. The last subject I'm going to touch on before I have to wrap up here is automation. Look, I know from being in the trenches of running a business that when you're focused on things like payroll, when you're worried about how you're going to pay rents, how you're going to acquire inventory, the last thing on your mind is social media marketing and email marketing. I get it. The beauty of technology in this world that we're living in today is you don't need to be in business by yourself. You just need to have the right partners, and the right partners aren't people necessarily. The right partners are tools and systems. Having the right tools and systems in place, such as marketing automation platforms like GetResponse, that can do the work for you and take some of the heavy lifting off your plate, like you see here. Save time, be more efficient. There's a tool called Zapier, and I'll get to that in a moment, but right here are some of the different integrations that you can use AI and automation for. First of all, it's sending out email campaigns based on different triggers. Someone opts in, there's an email sent to them. Someone buys from your brand, there's an email that's sent to them. Someone's gone 6 months without coming back, there's an email that's sent to them. My whole point is that once you work on setting up your automation workflows, there's very little that you have to do to go back in and out. The work is done for you. So take a moment to take a photo of this slide and write down marketing automation. If there's one thing that I wish that I would have learned about years ago, was marketing automation. And instead, when you're not automating the processes, now you're taking time away from your business to write that email, to send out that text message, to write that social media post. One of the tools I advocate for is actually Zapier. Zapier I love because Zapier integrates with GetResponse and just about like every major SaaS tool and system that exists today, such as Shopify. So here are some different examples of ways that you, using GetResponse and Zapier, can be more effective with marketing automation. First of all, TikTok. You can connect your TikTok with GetResponse through Zapier. Now you can funnel leads from TikTok into your email marketing. When people join your email marketing newsletter through automation workflows, they can get an email sent to them automatically. Very little effort on your end. You've got a platform like MailChimp, right? Small business owners, oftentimes when I meet with them, I ask them, who do you use for email marketing? They tell me all these competitors. The beauty of this, and just so you guys know, I don't like giving free promo to other ESPs out there, but let's be honest, they exist. But oftentimes people tell me, I don't like who I'm using for email marketing. So great. You can use our Zapier integration to import your list from MailChimp right over to GetResponse. You see some of the different examples here: Gmail, Eventbrite, ClickFunnels, Shopify, Facebook ads. There are literally thousands of integrations. Use them. As we look to wrap up, friends, I want you to take a moment to let this sink in. The golden age of marketing as we know it is over. It's done. AI is going to continue to evolve. AI is going to continue to fragment audiences. Honestly, AI is going to make it harder for all of our content to stand out. It's going to be noisier. You've got bots, you have CGI AIs, okay? That is making it harder. There's more inventory, there's more content, and there's less demand for that content. I don't know about you all, but I live a life where I wake up every single morning and before my feet hit the carpet in my bedroom, I've already checked 6 social networks, Outlook, and Slack. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I humbly admit that. My wife, same thing. It's not gonna slow down. It's only gonna continue to speed up. I wrote this book called The End of Marketing. It came out 5 years ago. The premise of the book is humanizing your brand in the age of AI and social media. The second edition came out a few years ago. I would encourage you, if you've received any value from this talk, go on Amazon, get the book. The book serves as a framework to help guide you through this process. It helps guide you through some of these growth hacks, some of these systems, these tools, how to sift through the noise. The inspiration behind writing this book was very simple. To help individuals like all of you in this room future-proof your brands and your businesses. I don't want you to be the next Blockbuster. I don't want you to be the next Sears, the next Toys R Us. And I know that sounds kind of crazy to even make those comparisons, but these tools that we use, they're limiting your reach. They're casinos. If you don't know how to play by their rules, you're going to fail miserably. And you need to realize people don't want to be sold to. They want to be engaged. What I didn't share with you early on is that I actually relate to a lot of folks at this event. I am a small business owner myself. I started a small business 4 years ago. The business was Outlaw Masks. My business partner and brother-in-law, who you see on the screen, Reggie and I, we started this during COVID. Both of us were out of work, like a lot of us. And we thought, you know what, it would be really dope to start a mask brand and create a product, an e-commerce, direct-to-consumer product. I knew nothing about creating a product from the ground up. I've worked for brands, I've been in and around smart rooms like this, but I'd never started a product of my own. Well, you know what, we did it to the tune of $1 million in sales within a year. And we were able to do this, thank you. Hold the applause for a moment, okay? Just hold the applause for a moment. And I say that because that business doesn't exist anymore. As I'm sure you know what happened, mask business was booming. How was business, Khaled? Booming, booming. It's great. We were in the Super Bowl, we were in the NBA, NFL, life was good. But the business, as soon as there was no more mask mandates, it was done. Business was over. Poof, it went down. As fast as it went up, it went down. What I want you to walk away with, though, is this knowledge. We scaled this business to $1 million, and we spent zero in marketing. None. You wanna know how we grew this business? TikTok. You wanna know what we did? We walked into every single Walmart in Jacksonville, Florida, until we were served with cease and desist notices. And we went to Walmarts and we gave masks to frontline workers. If you really wanna feel good about yourself at the end of the day, do something kind for somebody. Real talk. We saw these frontline workers that were wearing these paper masks or these Walmart issued masks, and they just looked horrible. And we would walk up to them and we'd say, hey, look, we're 2 small business owners, we're Black and Hispanic, and we're trying to do something good for our community. Would you like a mask? And they said, yes, cool, here's a free mask. Can we create a content? Can we create a video testimonial of you wearing the mask? Yes, cool. People would put on the mask. We would ask them, what do you think about it? And they would say, this is amazing, I can breathe. That line, I can breathe, we put that over and over on TikTok with like sappy, sad Sarah McLachlan music. Those videos would gain millions and millions of views organically, okay? To the point to where we couldn't keep up with the inventory, we couldn't keep up with the sales. But then that business died. Like a lot of businesses that don't evolve, die. And you know what we did next? We opened up a sneaker resale store in Jacksonville, Florida. in our first year in business, we made $1 million in sales. Thank you. And you know how much we spent in marketing? $0. You want to know the secret sauce to generating $1 million in sales, what it is? It's this. It's community. We built a community. We hosted free events every single month called trade nights. DJ, $300. Pizza, $100. Cases of water, $50. Paper plates and napkins, $50. All in, $500 to produce an event. And you saw the outcome. People showing up, having a good time, free. And you know what these individuals did? They became advocates. Every single customer that came into our store, we asked them, how do you hear about us? Social media. Cool. So you mean Instagram? Yeah, one of my friends was here. Awesome. You have a good experience in the store? Hey, we're a small business. Can you help us out by leaving us a 5-star review on Google? You rack up enough 5-star reviews of people saying this is the best of. For example, this is the best sneaker store. This is the best in your city. Over time, when people go on Google and they run a search for best your business, your city, guess who's going to come up in the search results? You are. Not Foot Locker, not Champs, not Finish Line, but a small business that just took the time to treat people like human beings, like people. It's a very, very long way of saying everything that you do in business is about community. It's not about content. There's this misconception, I don't know how this even started, but throughout the years I've heard this just cringy line, content is king. And the world doesn't need more content. It really doesn't. Especially where you're in these digital mediums where we can't even keep up. We're not even engaging with the content that's out there. But everything that you do should be about community. Community is truly king. The way that I was able to scale multiple businesses during a pandemic was by community with very minimal content. Because by the way, those videos at the Walmarts and Targets and Home Depots was shot on a cell phone. If I went to my cell phone right now, all of them are on there. There was no professional photography, no professional videography. It was all with iPhones. But community is really what's king. So I'm gonna leave you on that note. I wanna challenge you when you go back to your businesses. First of all, if you wanna learn more about what I do, come speak with me and Dom at our Get Response booth. I hope that you will. If you wanna make any content, if you wanna collab together, that's why I'm here. Come to the booth, we'll make a little short video. And I really, really want you to think about the power of community. And community is not something that you can scale. You can't just run $1,000 in Facebook ads and have a community. You really have to nurture it one person at a time. So thank you so much, Las Vegas.